Got a lot of young people with us today, and one thing they're absolutely going to be thinking of is, what do you need to do to break into TV? I mean, is there a magic formula that they need to know, that you can, some wisdom you can impart?
I wish I had wisdom, but it's weird because so many people get into it in different sorts of ways, you know. I came in as a runner, so I was like one of the most junior positions in TV, and then, sounds really weird, but like sort of a month later, I was speaking to a lady at the BBC bar, and turns out she was one of the producers on the show, and she asked me to audition, and I guess the rest is history. And many people go through different ways, because some people study like journalism, some people go through so many different avenues. It kind of depends on what you want to do, whether you want to be in production or whether you want to be in front of camera. If you want to be in production, there are so many schemes and all that kind of stuff that are available, and I think the BFI's even got some sort of links with TV companies as well. So, I mean, there are a plethora of ways. I think the most important thing, more than likely, is just to have some sort of experience and have some sort of backing. You know, if you've got an interest in something, it's so much more feasible for you to get into TV, because then you've got so much more to offer.
And doing a show like Blue Peter, I mean, that is just like, I mean, it covers every base, doesn't it? Because you're doing interviews, you're going out and doing stuff. I mean, you even you like, was it a world record that you, or several world records that you kind of smashed as well?
It's weird, like, because I've got one of my old Blue Peter presenters.
Who have you got?
Joel de Vries. In his lovely jumper.
He's waving.
Hi,
there
Joel.
we go. Round of applause.
Joel de Vries. Joel de Vries. It was weird because you kind of end up trying to outdo yourself, because, you know, I used to work with Joel and Helen Skelton, and we did so many crazy things, but one of the things for me was I was unable to swim, and we did sort of a 10-week kind of intense training, and then the challenge was to swim across the deepest part of the ocean, which is the Marianas Trench. So a portion of it was a Palau Trench, and it was 8 miles deep and 5 miles across, and it was an incredible achievement, because I was the first person ever to do it.
And you weren't able to swim?
Yeah, I was never able to swim.
So
yeah, I know, it's quite bizarre.
That's quite a major achievement.
Yeah, no, it was. Do you know what? I decided to call it a day after that, weirdly.
Have you not been swimming since?
No, in terms of like Blue Peter.
Okay.
That was my I decided to call it a day. No, like it was the last challenge I ever did on Blue Peter, and it was incredible, and it was so life-changing for me. And I think the thing behind it was, I think over the years, the thing about Blue Peter is that a lot of our presenters always seem to be really good at stuff. I wanted not to be good at something, right, and then at the end of it, be really good at it, or try my best to try and get to a particular point. And I was very lucky. I had the facility to do it with Blue Peter, and, you know, as I say, the rest is history. I loved it.
And would you say, was that your biggest kind of achievement, would you say?
I don't know, like, I mean, I know you because, like, I got nominated for a few BAFTAs and things like that. I mean, like, awards or like nominations are kind of irrelevant, really. I think for me, the joy of Blue Peter was what we were able to give our audience, and, you know, in many respects, we had a sense of responsibility, really, to try and inspire our audience. And for me, it was about finding key things that the audience could really relate to. I mean, another thing I did was originally the Street Child World Cup, when I took a group of young people from Manchester, one of the most deprived parts of Manchester, and we took them out to South Africa. And that journey itself was phenomenal, and our audience really got it and really enjoyed the experience. So it's very hard to say what the best thing I've ever done was. The entire 5 years was just a phenomenal experience.
And one of the great things about having you here today is that you are a massive film fan.
I love film, yeah.
And actually, you just tell everybody what the Blue Peter gang gave you when you left Blue Peter as a gift?
Yeah, they gave me a year's membership to the BFI, which is incredible. So they roped me back in to get the money's worth. No, it was, that was it. But it's even weird, like, me and Joel and his girlfriend here, we have, like, movie night on Wednesdays, because, you know, we've got, like, the BAFTA stuff coming through for the nominations, and we always go around and we just watch the films. And for me, I love film because I studied it at university, and since then, from old German expressionist films to, you know, modern day sort of cartoons or animations, I just love them all. I just love the whole idea of storytelling, really.
So this event today is part of a series that we do at the BFI called Screen Epiphanies, and we do it with our amazing partners, American Express, who have been fantastic actually to work with. And so what we do is we get somebody from the public eye to come and introduce and talk about a film that they really love. So Andy, we kind of chatted about what we might show. And initially, your first thoughts that you were going to go down, you wanted to show some of the Studio Ghibli films.
I'm really annoyed, because I just missed the Ghibli season you guys have just had. like I've been watching Miyazaki for so many years, and you know, I think that's we kind of got on that subject. I was like, "Are you doing anything with Miyazaki?" You're like, "Oh, funny that," because it's just before.
And so we have this date in the diary for you to come along at the end of May, and our Ghibli season, which you hadn't realised, ran all the way through April and finishes at the end of May. So actually, we couldn't show. Didn't make sense really to repeat one of the screens we'd already done.
Exactly.
But what is it about those? Because these are films like Spirited Away and My Neighbour Totoro and Ponyo. Has anybody seen any of these films, like or Arrietty, or there's a few hands around. Oh, good. Okay, so you know what we're talking about.
Kind of gets.
What is it? What is it you like about those films?
You know what the thing with Ghibli is like I've always been quite into sort of Japanese mythology and sort of Japanese films. My older brother got me into sort of early sort of Japanese animation. And when the Ghibli films came out, I think the first one actually sort of Spirited Away, weirdly, and because it was sort of endorsed by Disney and it went out it was sort of massively put out. But then I started getting into it and trying to understand where it all came from. And I think it's because of probably what I do for a living. I'm always really interested in the root of things. And that kind of opened the door to other films like Grave of the Fireflies, which for me is the first animation to ever make me cry. It was incredible. And I think when you start looking at it, there's a real charm to Ghibli films. And, I was talking to a Japanese guy while I was in Peru, and he started telling me a bit more, and gave me a bit more of an insight into what Ghibli meant to him as a Japanese man. And they are great films, and they open your mind into a whole different kind of world. I mean, I've been a fan of most Disney sort of animations through the years, but Ghibli really takes me to a different place. It puts me in an environment that I'm very unfamiliar with, but at the same time, it's so comfortable because, I mean, most of the protagonists are children anyway. So, yeah, I really love Ghibli films, and, I haven't really seen the recent one, if anything, but it kind of, I don't know, it's a real sort of release for me.
Okay. And, I mean, in terms of the film we ended up going with, WALL-E, or you ended up choosing, I mean, there are some of the themes that kind of come out of that are not unfamiliar to people, who like Ghibli films. And in WALL-E, there's a big kind of message around kind of ecology and so forth. I mean, do you think it's important for a film to have a message, or actually is it more just about enjoying the film, the entertainment?
It's really tough to say because, I mean, it's all about storytelling, isn't it? And you can tell stories on different levels. I think, for me, what does ring true with WALL-E is the social commentary of technology, and the way the world can be going if we don't kind of stop on mass production and sort of consumerism. And I guess what's also lovely about WALL-E is that you've got intertwined between this a beautiful love story as well, which is really nice. That's what drew me to it, and that's what draws me to Ghibli films as well. It's, there's something quite innocent about this film, but actually, it's a film that works on all platforms from adults to children as well, and that's why I really chose this one.
Is there anybody who hasn't seen WALL-E before? Don't put your hand up.
Oh, this is brilliant. Nice. You're in for a treat.
That is fantastic. So I mean that actually is one of the great things about doing these kind of screenings is actually it's a chance not only to watch it with people who sort of have seen it and love it, but people who haven't seen it before. So that means I'm not going to go into too much detail in that case to ask you about it.
But I've got to say though, I mean, like the great thing about WALL-E is, and it's going to come no surprise to anyone, is that it's one of the few sort of Pixar films, or one of the only Pixar films with very little dialogue in. And I think that's very intelligently done. And to keep you engaged for the duration of the film is absolutely credit to these guys, because it's a fantastic film, and I really love it.
And it is really, truly like very, very cinematic, isn't it? When you think about the early years of cinema, like Chaplin and Keaton
exactly.
and all those kind of silent
back
films.
To those days. But even there are some sort of nostalgic moments in between that they flash back to, and it brings you back to that kind of notion.
That's great. And in terms of the other films I think you talked about, we'd also discussed, I think it was Never-Ending Story, which is obviously one from your childhood. Was it Flight of the Navigator?
Well, there's that massive period through the 80s where a lot of films were about the fantastical, and Flight of the Navigator, Never-Ending Story, Back to the Future, Short Circuit, Willow. I mean, we can go on. And for me, they were incredible times. And it was a really great time as a child, to really open my mind and use my imagination in these films. And it takes you to a massive different portal. And it's a shame we couldn't show them because, in a sort of nostalgic way, I kind of really love them. But, I mean, this is just as good a substitute,
So, just in terms of before we kind of put the film on, you've been doing Fort Boyard recently as well, haven't you? Is that going to continue?
Yeah, I'm flying back out to France next month to film the new series of Fort Boyard, which should be incredible. It's a game show, and we love it. And we have young people from all across the UK come to compete in La Rochelle in France. And with the new series should be going out, I think, coming out in October or September.
And they're British kids who go over to do it.
Yeah.
And I mean, say if some of the kids here wanted to take part, how do you do that?
Just go online. It's on the ITV website. Should I be endorsing ITV? I don't know. It's on the ITV website. So we're still looking for young people to take part. If they want to come along, come join us. It'd be brilliant.
Okay, well, we're gonna kick off with this. I would say a massive thank you again to American Express, as I say, for sponsoring this season, and a massive thank you to Andy Akinwolere. Thank you very much indeed. Andy,
how do I get
your very own Wally.
Respect. Thank you. Thank you.